Hey everybody, welcome back to Fuckery 101. I'm Lori Eberly, founder of Radius, and we are going to spend the next several minutes working on how to make your first fuckery map. So if you've joined us before, we've been discussing different kinds of bad habits that damage trust. And this has been educational, and hopefully you've taken what we've discussed and been reflecting on it and tried to identify if any of these forms of fuckery apply to you. What I'd like to do today is to introduce you to several forms of fuckery, reading through the appendix. And then I'm going to, in real time, walk you through how to make your fuckery map, okay? So I'm looking at the appendix, and I'm just going to read some common forms of fuckery. And I want you to sort of notice which ones land, which ones resonate, which ones seem like they could apply. And if there's no connection there, that's fine. Okay. Undermining, complaining, self-loathing, playing victim, wreaking havoc, intellectualizing, sexism, analysis paralysis, hubris, hiding, spreading rumors, micromanaging, disengaging, overprotecting, keeping a low profile, pouting, fault-finding, name-calling, overestimating, lack of ownership, patronizing, being defensive. Any of these sound like you? Bitching and moaning, playing dumb, making excuses, narcissism. I can guarantee you, if you're a narcissist, you do not think that you're a narcissist, but you probably have worked with one. Sorry, I digress. Awfulizing, racism, stirring the pot, perfectionism, backhanded compliments, bullying, self-righteousness, deceit. There are more. There are your own variety of the ones that I just mentioned. And maybe you didn't read one that really lands for you. That's fine. If any of those suggestions don't call to mind any of your own patterns, then perhaps these questions will. And I'm reading from page 38 of the book. Can you recall when your actions damaged trust at work? I want you to think of a very specific time, not a generality, where something you did, intentional or not, your intentions flatly don't matter, where your actions damaged trust with somebody else that you work with. And you can hit pause. I want you to come up with at least one, and ideally, let's say 3 to 5 for the high achievers watching, okay? A specific time where you damage trust. Take a minute and do that. I also want you to think about, what do you tend to do when your personal goals are threatened, okay? When you're under stress, when you're overly tired, when you skipped a meal, when you are not acting as your best self, what are your tendencies? What do you resort to? This is where you'll find your fuckery. So think about a time, maybe outside this pandemic, maybe during this very moment, when you are feeling a lot of pressure, when you are feeling like your livelihood, your job, your goals are threatened. And how do you tend to respond in that place? Pause and take as long as you need to think about that. Another question, which has you pop out of just looking at yourself and maybe looking at your larger work context, whatever that may be. What habits damage trust on your team, your current team? And if you are a solopreneur or you just work with 1 or 2 people, you can apply the current team, or maybe you're looking back at other teams, and I want you to maybe write out the name of your 10 colleagues that you interacted most with, and then think about what reduced the level of trust between particular individuals. That's another way for you to get really specific and honing in on how these habits show up, okay? So Think about that one. How do these habits make you feel? A lot of us avoid that F word. We have no problem with saying fuck, but we don't like to talk about feelings. How do others' fuckery make you feel? We're hardwired to feel safe and to belong and to bond with others, not just in our personal life, but in every environment, and that includes our work environment. So if you think of a time, again, think of a specific time when someone else's behavior damaged trust. You're going to think of a time where you were betrayed. You're going to think of a time where you were publicly shamed. You're going to think of a time where someone greatly let you down, pissed you off, made you question yourself. When that trust was broken, I want you to, if you're feeling mentally up for it today, spend a couple of minutes jotting down what that act of fuckery did to you internally. Where do you feel that in your body? Just recalling this kind of threat will activate your nervous system. You may feel it in your hands. You may feel it in your chest. You may get flushed. Your heart rate may increase. If you're really dropping into that experience, your nervous system is remembering it because it's part of what keeps you safe. So if it was a terrible situation, I don't want you to dwell in it, but can you return to that feeling of feeling betrayed, of learning the truth about someone that you work with? Because we have to understand how that viscerally feels in our body in order to feel motivated to change our own fuckery. Because those that work with us want to feel safe, want to feel respected, want to feel valued, want to feel acknowledged. And if you're a leader and watching this, I'm imagining that that is what you want for your team. So we have to look at and recognize that our fuckery can have very far-reaching impacts on the people that we work with. And understanding that is what gets you motivated to actually do something about it. Okay, and the final question here on page 38 is, how did those habits impact other team members? And so this is where you're beginning, maybe this is your first draft, to really think about what your habits are. And let's say your habit is analysis paralysis. Well, name 3 people you work with, right? John, Katie, and Scott. And how does analysis paralysis, how do you think that makes John feel? How does your analysis paralysis, how does Katie react to that? And what is the result of your analysis paralysis on Scott? Okay, make it like really, really personal. So take 15, 20 minutes to answer those questions. And then I want you to set a timer for 30 minutes on your phone. Or maybe you're real old school and you have some kind of hourglass or something. So 30 minutes. And I want you to go through the appendix, or I want you to go online, the links below, and scroll through the multiple forms of fuckery. Or maybe you just do this on your own. Maybe your performance review indicates what your fuckery is. It just used different language, right? What habits do you fall into when you're under stress or feeling threatened that potentially damage trust of the people in your team? And I want you to begin to calculate that list. Actually, calculate's the wrong word because that implies strategy. I just want you to brainstorm. I want you to just start writing, what do I do that could potentially inhibit trust on my team? Okay? Sit in it. Be uncomfortable. Okay, hit pause. And I want you to come back. 10, 15 minutes. The whole exercise is going to be 30, but I want you to take 10 to 15 to just brainstorm all that you got. Okay? Go. All right, you're back, and I'm assuming that it's because you did what I told you to do. All right, once you have written the list down, now's where you begin to prioritize it and rank it, right? What you're going to see is that some of them kind of feed into each other. Like when I did my map, the fact that I can be overly accommodating and overcommitting and people-pleasing, that's all sort of living in the same terrain. So maybe you pick one. or maybe you realize that you've written several that are kind of similar, but one sort of lands more than the other, right? So whether you've written 5 or 10 or 20, I want you to see if you can begin to pare it down. Notice the relationships, okay? And the goal is for you to rank them once you get them down to a manageable size, right? Manageable meaning you are not allowed to have more than 9, and ideally you would maybe have 3 to 6. Okay, more than that is too much for most people to try to tackle, right? So go through it, edit them out, circle the biggest ones, right? Circle the ones that are most likely to happen, right? This is your go-to. These are your default. So once you've looked through that, circle the 3 or 6 or 9 that are most popular for you, and then put them in descending rank. Okay, what do you most likely do at the top? What are you least likely to do at the bottom? Okay, that's ranking for probability. You're going to take a couple minutes to do that, all right? Do it. Pause this video, go do your probability rank. And now that you're back, it means that you've done what I asked. Okay, so now we are going to move to impact. And some of you will do that easily. And however many you have, I want you to make a column of low, medium, and high. Okay, so yes, the truth is that all of our fuckery has a major impact on the people that work with us, but they can't all be high. So of the fuckery that you have listed, which ones have a low impact on the other people on your team, which ones have a medium impact on the people on your team, and then which ones have a high impact. Some of you will not overthink this, but if you have any element of analysis paralysis like I do, I found this to be like an impossibly painful process. John laughed at me, but if you know me, you understand, right? So you've done the probability. Now you're going to do the forced distribution. Okay, so take 5-10 minutes to do that. Really, do not overthink this. Pause. And now you're back. Okay, you got your probability and you got your forced distribution. So then you can look up, in the book, it's on page 39, the blank Fuckery Map. And what it looks like is this right here, right? There we go, your blank Fuckery Map. And so using probability and impact as your vectors, I want you to plot them on your map. And my map is on page 42, and it looks like that, okay? So that's what you're going for. And once you have your map, then now you have a goal, because what ends up in the upper right corner in mine is avoiding conflict and analysis paralysis and people pleasing. Then that's what you're going to focus on. Because trying to focus on 9 different habits that damage trust is not going to work for you, right? We have to have priorities. So play with that and practice that. And once you've identified it, you've named it, right? And so now we got to go back and do the tame it part. And for those of you joining us just now, that name it to tame it concept comes from Dr. Dan Siegel. And it's a way for us to minimize the threat of that fuckery and our nervous system response to it, so that we can actually call it what it is and develop a plan and how to reduce it, okay? So that's the step to making your fuckery map. And then we follow it up with a plan to actually execute and drive that fuckery down. If you need more information, beyond reading the book, there's a recent blog post, and the link to that is below, on how I made my first fuckery map. So would love to see your maps. If you want to email them to me at lori@radiusecd.com, that would thrill me to no end. You can post them on Instagram. Share them, you know, because what you're going to find is that your map actually looks a lot like some other people's maps. When I do this publicly, people will often say, you know, Lori, am I cheating if my map looks like yours? No, as long as you're putting the right amount of thought into it and really internalizing it. Different personalities are going to have similar flavors of fuckery that show up. So do this when you can focus, when it's sort of quiet, when you're not going to have a lot of interruptions. And if you find that 30 minutes is too intense to sit down, then do it in small pockets of time, right? 10 minutes here and 10 minutes later. And trust yourself when the time is right, but also don't overthink it. Trust me. I look forward to seeing your maps. Come back for more. Bye-bye.